Hello ladies and gentlemen, hope you're having a great day and welcome to the Tundra Dude 34 YouTube channel. We have a very important video today. We are sitting in my 2023 SR5 TRD Off-Road Double Cab, and we've now owned this for 6 months to the day. So we're gonna go over everything, how we feel about this truck, the good, the bad, the ugly. Please go down in the comments below and let me know if you have any questions. So let's get started. So I found this SR5 and I fell in love with it. It is very, very loaded up. If you've been around the channel, you know how much stuff is in this truck. If not, we're gonna go over it momentarily. The reason I got the double cab was, all right, let's try something different. The double cab was always very popular last generation, so why not give it a try now? It has shrunk quite a bit. Let's see if it's livable day to day. And let me tell you up front, I learned real quick that the Crew Max is the answer in the new generation Tundra. Okay, so let's go over some things about this truck. I kind of broke it down, instead of a pros and cons list like I usually do, I kind of broke it down into categories, and we'll talk about a little bit of everything in each of those categories and kind of give you a good idea if you're going out there to spend your hard-earned money on what you should look for. So right off the bat, let's talk about the price of this truck. This truck was about $57,000, just over that MSRP. This is as loaded as you can get when it comes to the SR5 TRD Off-Road. Yes, it is double cab, but other than that, we got the premium audio package, which is the big screen and the LED bed lights and the outlet in the bed. We have soft text with the heated seats, power folding mirrors. The thing is as loaded up as you could get for an SR5 with this great TRD off-road package. Also, we have the 20-inch wheel on the outside that comes on the TRD off-road in limited, 1794, and now platinum. So that was an upgrade on the outside as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is the appearance of the truck. I think it looks great, midnight black metallic. When you get the SR5 TRD off-road package, it blacks out the badging. Like I said, it has the 20-inch wheel and tire package from the limited, platinum, and 1794 TRD off-road packages. Normally, that would be an 18-inch wheel and tire package with a silver lip on it, a little different. It has the premium audio package, so that gives it the LED bed lights over there and the outlet. For SR5, you don't get the button on the side, but that doesn't matter. But overall, I always like the look of the double cab Tundras. Some people do, some people don't. And the grille up front is still one of those love it or hate it kind of things. But this has LED lights that are manual leveling, power folding mirrors. It's definitely a nice truck with a nice package. And like I said, this was 57 and change MSRP versus the Pro that I did have, which was like 72. So I still got a lot of great stuff. I lost the pano roof. I lost the JBL sound system, the ventilated option on the seats, and some of the TRD Pro stuff. But for everyday life, this does the job just fine. Here's a look at the inside. Since we're talking about appearance, this is your soft text. Everything matches. It's all black. Of course, it has the gray headliner, but there's enough gray in here for it all to make sense. So after 6 months, I still absolutely love the look of this truck. Next thing we're going to talk about is technology and things that I've absolutely fallen in love with over my 6 month of ownership. This truck now has 3,670 on miles, 3,670. I do a lot of long trips lately, going to these dealerships all over New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And one of my favorite things is this big screen. When I first saw they came out with the 14-inch screen, I thought, wow, that's going to be distracting for the driver. But it's actually the opposite. So when I'm using things like navigation, or I want to change a station real quick or do anything with that, I don't even have to look over because everything on the screen is gigantic, just like the screen itself. So what I thought might hinder the driver and distract the driver, it really is the opposite. So this has become amazing, when it comes to those trips I'm taking to go look at these Tundras all over the place. And when we talk about tech, I mean, this has dual zone automatic climate control. It has everything you need. Because it has the TRD off-road package, it has the locking rear diff. It has a trailer assist, like a backup assist system on it. It has the 360 camera. And when you put it into gear, you can see that you can go through all of these different cameras here. And they're very helpful if you're parking in a weird spot and you're pulling up to something and you want to see, the front view. It's great to see how close you can get. And there's sensors all over this thing. So you will hear when you're getting close to something, like my fence. It sounds like you're in missile lock. But there's all sorts of stuff you can hit here, especially this one is my favorite. If you have something in the bed and it's tied down, you want to make sure it's secure. That's the best. All of this stuff I use on a regular basis, especially with stuff in the bed there. It has the side camera views. It has everything. Your trailer, right at the connection, right at the bumper. You could see whatever you want to see. So that is definitely a cool feature to have. So the tech in here is insane. There is no digital gauge cluster, but it's fine. It's no big deal. You can still operate the truck just fine. You have that menu screen in the middle, and there's a lot of options in there. It just doesn't have that big, cool digital look. But I think a lot of people like this gauge cluster versus the other one anyway. Leather wrapped steering wheel. I mean, it has all your options on there, as you can see. Trailer brake control, tow haul. It has the drive modes, sport, normal, and eco is in here. It has multi-terrain select. This even has the digital rear view mirror. So technology in this truck is good. Heated seats. I mean, it has everything you need and some of the stuff you want. And I think that is kind of the moral of the story when it comes to SR5. Okay, next thing to focus on, very important here, space and storage. All right, so storage up front is absolutely fine. I have no issues whatsoever. You get this big area down here. You could put your phone. This doesn't have the wireless charger in it. That is limited and up. But there's a bunch of room down here to put stuff. You could even put stuff over there. It doesn't need to be a phone. It is still a nice spot to put your phone if you want. Two big cup holders, one bigger than the other with tabs to hold it in place. You get an area up here on the center console that opens. The center console is still gigantic on the inside. And in the lower trims, you get this cool tray over here for your passengers. So that does the job just fine. You get little slots in the doors, and you can put bottles over there. It's the same as it always has been. Big glove box. So up here, as far as space and comfort, it is not a problem whatsoever. Now, when we talk about space, let's jump out into the back seat here. And this is where, on a double cab, you really have to determine if this is going to work for you. I have the seats up, and to be honest with you, the seats are always up. This is just how I leave it. Now, you see how the seats are back there? There's not a lot of room. If you needed to cram somebody back here for a short trip, you can move these seats up and do it. I've done it in a video when I first got the truck. It is doable. But for long-term backseat passengers, this is not the answer. You get this big under-seat storage here, which is great. And that's why the seat is always up. I'm always throwing stuff in and out of here. So I've learned to deal with it with storage. And to be honest with you, I didn't plan on having any people in the back seat, and that's why I tried this little experiment with the double cab. But even with storage, things you may need to put back here. If it's pouring out, I don't have a tonneau cover on my truck, which is a good recommendation if you have a double cab in the new gen. You're probably going to want a tonneau cover because this space fills very quickly. If you're going on a small trip, me and my wife like to go to the lake in Pennsylvania, this fills up very quickly. So even with storage, it gets very tight back here. But for your everyday use, this bin will do the job just fine. You have area over there to hold stuff in place if you need. And if you do have backseat passengers, you still get a little area for their phone, charging port, cup holders. There's cup holders in the seats up here. But at the end of the day, if you're having a double cab, you're probably not going to have backseat passengers very often. If you do, they might not want to ride with you very long. Now here's another one that a lot of people talk about, and I think we should hone in on it and kind of spend a couple minutes on it, and that's quality control of the truck. Whether we're talking about turbo issues that people have spoke about, wastegate issues, creaking, wind noise inside the truck, I'm fortunate enough to not have had any problems whatsoever with any of that. Everything in here is very tight. The quality control is top notch in this truck. And it was also the same for me on the TRD Pro that I owned. Everything was tip top. And the press vehicles, I haven't had any problem with any of the quality control stuff. I think early on they were talking about the center console rattling. So as far as quality control goes, I know a lot of people ask all the time about the creaking, the rattling, the broken seat. The truck is still too new for the broken seat thing, I think. But everything in here is top notch. It's quiet as can be going down the road. Let's take a little ride for the rest of our talk here. And now we're going to talk about the overall feel of the truck. Let's start with fuel mileage though. A lot of talk out there that the fuel mileage isn't very good in the new gen. It's not good enough versus last gen to make the switch. So I can only speak for myself. I do a lot of pump-to-pump calculations. I do that locally, and I do it when I go on trips, and that's just for the knowledge of how much better is this engine, if better at all? So the first thing I noticed is locally, especially as the engine breaks in and as the miles come on, I'm getting around 18 to 19 locally on the truck, all right? When I do my trips, I've seen almost 21. So we're seeing like 20.8, I believe, on a video I made. I made 2 or 3 videos on fuel mileage on the highway with this thing so far, going up into the mountains. And I believe the number was 20.8, which is just about 21 mpg. Now, in my old truck with the same trips, locally I was getting around 14 to 15, and on the highway was like 15 to 16. So there is definitely an improvement, at least from what I'm seeing with this truck and my older trucks. And that's just me talking from my own experiences. It's going to change, obviously, depending on where you are in the country, what kind of terrain you're running on. Is there a lot of elevation? Is there not? Are you towing? Are you hauling? Everything is going to change, depending on your conditions. But for this truck, the fuel mileage is very good. As far as the ride, and I say this to people all the time, and 6 months later, I'm still going to say it to you. As far as the ride, the handling, the braking, this doesn't feel like any Tundra ever. This is something that is completely different than what you will ever feel. It does not feel like a classic pickup truck at all, regardless of what brand you come from. These newer generation pickup trucks that have gone to the small displacement / EcoBoost, the new frame, the new everything. This was a ground up remodel for 2022, and it is a completely different truck. It feels just like nothing I've ever driven when I first got into the truck, but you do get used to it. One of the huge questions with the new generation Tundra is iForce or iForce Max. Now, I've had the pleasure to drive quite a few different versions of both. And I will tell you that when I had the TRD Pro, and even now when I get into the vehicles they lend me for a week to review and they have the iForce Max in it, super fun engine, super fast, super aggressive. The performance is definitely there. It's the same engine. It's just the iForce Max is the hybrid of that engine. And it is a very powerful engine. But at the same time, coming from the iForce Max down here into the iForce, I was not disappointed at all. And I thought I was going to be because, obviously it's a lot less powerful of an engine. I think it's about a 50 horsepower difference. I'll throw the numbers up right now. You'll see under me. But the truck gets up and goes just fine. There's no issue there. When we come out onto the road here and you put your foot on the pedal, it throws you back in your seat. It's fast. And that with the smooth transmission, it's an amazing package. The 10-speed automatic transmission is a pleasure to drive with this 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6. So do I regret anything about the engine, about the choice? No, not at all. To be honest with you, there's not a lot of cons for me with this truck. The space, that's number one. I will have a Crew Max next time I buy another Tundra. This was a fun little test. And like I said in the last generation, and I'll say in this generation, it definitely feels like the double cab it has its own characteristics as far as handling. It always feels a little bit more peppier than the Crew Max. But at the same time, the old generation the old generation double cab gave you space so you could fit passengers back there and use it for storage. This is kind of like an RCSB Tundra with a little bit more space. So as far as that goes, I'm going to go Crew Max next time. Overall, very happy with the truck. As far as the pricing goes, we all want to pay less for these trucks. But when it comes to the pricing of the Tundras and how they're pricing them, 57 grand for this with everything that comes in it, it's not the worst thing in the world. I paid 56 and change for my Army Green TRD Pro Crew Max, right? And that was a lot more truck. But 57 compared to paying the 70s and the 80s that we're seeing with these new Gen Tundras now, the only thing that I lose in here is a functional back seat. But the technology is there, and I do applaud Toyota for not taking away, all the technology potential when you go double cab. It's not like, oh, I went double cab and I lost everything. I still have the big screen here. I still have the digital rear view mirror. I still have power folding mirrors. I still have the trailer backup guide and all that, bird's eye view camera. So this thing, you can still load up with options. Blind spot monitoring, parking sensors, big mirrors. The mirrors are amazing on this. 6 months in, I'm still very happy with my purchase. It's just one thing you've heard me say if you've watched my channel over the years, or over the last 6 months, I should say, with this truck, is crew max. And that is something I always say to people. Make sure you get in and test drive and feel around and make sure you like what the truck is all about before buying. If you're someone that's in the old generation thinking of coming to the new generation, you've got to test drive the truck. It is night and day different. So test drive the truck. Trust me on that one. You will be blown away. And some like it and some don't. And that's why I say it's very important to do it. The braking, there's no brake dive. Like, it's so refined for the new generation Tundra. And this double cab kind of takes it to another level because, once again, I just feel like the double cab always has a little bit more of a speedy, peppy, responsive feel. And I know there's not a lot of double cab new gen owners out there, but let me know if you agree with that statement. But the tech is great. The ride is great. The engine is super responsive. The fuel mileage is good. I don't have a lot of cons other than the back seat with this truck. I like all the technology. I'm used to all the technology. And now that I'm driving this truck further and further to dealerships that are hour and a half away, and I'm spending time on the highway, and I'm spending time in the mountains with the truck, it's just an overall amazing experience that I have nothing but good things to say about right now. It's a good time. Just check out the Crew Max before you make any decision, and make sure you test drive if you're coming from a new or an old generation Tundra. All right. Until next time, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook at TundraDude34, TundraDude34 at gmail.com. You guys have a great day. Be safe. Be well. Thank you for watching.